honeys. Welcome to the podcast here. This is Life as a Question Mark, and I am your host, Heather Donovan. Let me tell you a little bit about myself, even though there is so much that I could tell you about myself. However, if I told you everything about myself, then I would put you all into overload. We'd be here all day, and I just can't do it to you guys. So I'll only just be skimming the surface for you all to make it easier for everyone to process, like little bite sizes. I live in a very small village, basically where there isn't really anything but 3 stoplights and 3 gas stations and not even a grocery store. I am a fur mom to 2 cats and 2 dogs. I am a 29-year-old dancer who still takes dance classes and participates in dance recitals and competitions with my dance team at my dance studio. I have been dancing since I was 14 years old, even though I remember choreographing my own dances in my little bedroom at a very young age. In September of 2023, it will make my 17th year of dance. I have been severely bullied from kindergarten all the way until I graduated from high school. 4 months after I've graduated from high school back in June of 2013, my parents and I were told by a local ER if I didn't change my ways. I was dying from an eating disorder, anorexia to be exact. And before anyone starts assuming that dance caused my eating disorders, I am here to tell you that it absolutely was not. It was far from it. Dance was keeping me going and still continues to keep me going today. The eating disorder started way before I started dancing at 14 years old, and it was one of the many after effects that having to endure so many years of vicious bullying and so many other elements that were happening in my life as well. I have had so many different jobs so far in my life. I was a McDonald's crew member for 2 different locations. I was a babysitter, an assembly worker for a factory, a post-processing technician for a factory, a deli clerk, and a general cleaner. I am currently now working at a gas station and am debatably a substitute teacher for middle and high schoolers. I use the word debatably because, it's a long story that I'm not even going to begin touching for at least today, but all I can say is that I will not turning for the next school year at my own discretion due to certain circumstances. I am a question mark, as people like to refer me as. I'm referred to as a question mark because nobody ever knows what I'm going to do and say, including myself, even after I've done that said action, and I surprise myself all the time, let me tell you that. My mom started referring me to a question mark for this reason, and it reflects me so well. Can't you just agree? That brings me into explaining why this podcast is named how it is. As my personality shows, as you can tell, I hate always having to do just one thing and one thing only. And I love to keep else guessing what my next move will be, even if I don't know what it is. So why should my podcast be any different than I am? This podcast will never just be one subject, but many subjects. This podcast, just like me, is all about getting a variety of different subjects and covering them, and never knowing which one you are going to get. Maybe I could be covering a serious subject, or I could just be hanging out with you and or I could just be hanging out with all of you and just talking smack. I've gotten the idea to have a podcast about multiple subjects by Big Brother's 19 contestant Elena Davies and her own podcast, Miscellaneous. I've always wanted to start either a vlog or a podcast all my life, but never knew what subject it would be. And then after listening to her podcast and being a fan of Elena, made me realize to myself, why do I just need it to be just one subject? Just do you. And here I am, honeys, doing just that. So special shout out and thank you goes out to Elena Davies herself. I would also like to make a special thank you and shout out to Chelsea Lynn, Paige Jen, and Chelsea's cousin, Justine, and their podcast, The Viral Podcast. I'm a huge rock effer. I can't fully say the name because, well, the school that I work at, for now, will not allow me to swear in public. So, here I am. Let's just say that I'm a huge fan. I say their sayings like, hey, honeys, and do better all of the time, even in casual conversations. So I have to credit all of them for me using these sayings consistently. So I very highly recommend that you follow everyone that I have mentioned on all their platforms and check them out for yourselves. Also, I would like to mention that I don't expect this podcast to be big and famous by any means necessary. I mean, it would be beyond one of my wildest dreams by all means. Pretty much just woke up one day, did a lot of thinking, and one of my thoughts was, what am I waiting for? My thinking, what am I waiting on? Just go launch a podcast on your own. It could never be a dream of mine to come true if I don't take action. So here I am, doing the thing. With all that being said, please bear with me. I am a one-man band here doing and figuring everything out by myself with zero help at all as I go. And that's for podcasting, social media, equipment, editing, you name it. I'm doing it all. So please stick around for the ride. I have so many stories to tell, if you couldn't already figure that out for yourselves already. And so many fun and interesting things planned for the future for this podcast. And if you don't like it, at least play it for your fur babies when you leave them home alone for background noise. And also, just simply do better. If you like this podcast and would like to take this journey with me, as life is a question mark, please take the time to rate, review, and subscribe and spread the word like wildfire. I plan on releasing a new episode every Monday, so make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss a beat. You can follow the podcast on TikTok and Instagram at Life as a Question Mark. And DM the podcast social medias if you have anything that you would like me to talk about on the pod. You can also follow myself on my own personal social medias as well, on both TikTok and Instagram at Misty's World 22. I'll see you all next week, and remember, keep doing better.